The transmission hit us without warning, blanketing every screen on the planet. A creature, all sharp angles and glistening carapace, filled our vision. Its voice, a grating synthesis of 1,000 languages, boomed a simple, terrifying message. Your world is ours. You have one of your hours to surrender unconditionally. Resistance is futile. Then silence. 1 hour. 60 minutes to decide the fate of 8 billion souls. Panic erupted, a tidal wave of fear sweeping across the globe. Governments scrambled, military leaders convened, and on the streets, chaos reigned. But amidst the fear, something else began to stir. A quiet, stubborn defiance. For the first 20 minutes, the world's leaders were a mess. They argued, they pointed fingers. They proposed everything from immediate surrender to a suicidal, all-out nuclear strike. The alien fleet, a jagged crown of metallic thorns hanging in our sky, was an undeniable show of force. Our best satellites couldn't even get a clear reading on their technology. Surrender seemed logical. It seemed inevitable. But then, a low-level analyst from a forgotten sector of Nord, a young woman named Anya, pointed out something no one else had noticed. In their arrogance, the aliens hadn't just broadcast their message. It hacked our entire global network to do it. Every server, every satellite, every single device connected to the internet. They'd opened a door, and in their hubris, they hadn't bothered to close it. That's when the second wave began. Not of panic, but of action. The world's hackers, from state-sponsored cyber warfare units to teenagers in their parents' basements, saw the opening. They called it Project Chimera. It wasn't about fighting ship-to-ship. It was about fighting Min-2-Mind. The goal wasn't to destroy the alien network, but to understand it, to learn from it, and then to use it against them. The initial probes were gentle, almost undetectable, while the world's militaries moved their assets into defensive positions. Buying precious time, the digital ghosts of humanity slipped into the alien mainframe. It was a digital treasure trove. Schematics, communications, power systems, everything. They had given us the keys to their kingdom. With 30 minutes left on the clock, the mood in the command centers shifted. The data was pouring in. The alien ships, for all their might, had a critical flaw. Their entire fleet was networked, a single, unified consciousness for maximum efficiency. It was their greatest strength, and as it turned out, their most catastrophic weakness. One well-placed virus, one perfectly crafted piece of malware could cascade through their entire system. The problem was, our digital weapons were primitive compared to theirs. A direct assault would be like throwing pebbles at a battleship. We needed something more human. That's when Anya had another idea. Something so audacious it was initially dismissed as insane. She proposed not to attack their systems, but to flood them. Not with a virus, but with our culture, our history, our art, our noise, the entirety of the human experience. Every movie ever made, every song ever composed, every pointless internet meme, every scientific paper, every heartbreaking poem, every declaration of love, and every cry of rage. We would weaponize our own chaotic, contradictory, and overwhelmingly complex existence. The plan was greenlit. With less than 15 minutes to go, the largest data transfer in history began. The aliens must have been baffled. One moment, their pristine logical network was humming with efficiency. The next, it was being assaulted by Shakespeare, cat videos, heavy metal, quantum physics lectures, and billions of personal family photos. Their processors, designed for cold, hard logic, began to stutter. Their unified consciousness, built on order, was suddenly drowning in a sea of pure, unfiltered chaos. Imagine trying to solve a complex equation while a billion people are screaming different, unrelated things in your ear. This is what we did to them. With 5 minutes left, their ships began to flicker. Their perfect formations wavered. On board their flagship, the alien commander watched in horror as its tactical displays were replaced with scenes from old black-and-white comedies and the roaring chorus of a rock anthem. Their communications became a jumble of languages they couldn't process, filled with slang jokes and expressions of pure emotion. Their logic circuits were frying. unable to parse the sheer volume of what they perceived as meaningless, irrational data. They had expected a single, unified response, or render, or fight. They'd never anticipated an attack on their very sanity. As the final 60 seconds ticked away, a message appeared on the alien commander's personal screen. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a demand. It was a simple video file, a baby laughing. That was the final blow. The concept of pure, unadulterated joy, a chaotic and illogical emotion, was the one thing their system could not compute. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The entire fleet mine crashed. One by one, the lights on their ships went dark. The jagged crown in our sky became a silent, powerless graveyard of metal. The 1-hour deadline passed. The world held its breath. And then a collective cheer erupted across the planet, a sound of pure relief and triumph. We hadn't fired a single shot. We hadn't lost a single life. We had faced an overwhelming force and defeated them not with weapons, but with the very essence of who we are. They gave us an hour to surrender, thinking our time was up. But in doing so, they gave us access. They gave us a chance. And they learned the hard way that you should never, ever underestimate the beautiful, its unpredictable and powerful chaos of humanity. That was their biggest mistake in history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.